these trades were called in real time in the room this morning. See, I open the room every single day at right at 7:30-ish. So just a couple of minutes after we try to get past the news. That way you won't get caught with the 7:30 news. But we like to open it right through there, 7:30-ish, right there. Today I did open it at 7:30 even, which was right there. All right. Does anybody remember when I opened the room, we got long on that bar right there? Okay. Now, that was not any kind of a retrace or anything. That was just simply because that's when we saw the chart. Okay. When I opened the room, that's where it was. All right. That little trade right there actually turned out to be a good 10-tick trade or more. So that was our first $200 for the day. Okay. Now here in a few minutes, I'm going to show you how to trade this, but I want to just show you what was actually mentioned in the room in real time. Okay. Now, and this point right here, you're pretty much taking profit because you've got your 10 ticks. That's enough. A $200 trade is a $200 trade. If it goes up a little bit more, then that's great. Okay. But the next trade that was called, and keep in mind that when you come in the Viper trading room, I have 4 charts up and I look at the charts and I discern by examining those charts where to get in the trade. Unfortunately, we couldn't get in it here because it was 7:12. We couldn't get in it here because it was 7:19. We got in it here when it was 7:30. Okay, so that way you got you a nice trade. All right. Normally, I don't like to get in a trade this late because your target was just right up here to begin with. But that is 10 ticks, so it is what it is. You can get pretty decent trades. All right, and then this next trade that was called was right here at this mid-band trade, right here on this yellow dots right here. We actually drew the right there on the charts and everything, and that turned into be a good trade also. Okay, so basically, what you as a trader want to do, unless you just like sitting at a computer all day, what you want to do is you want to get that first trade, you want to get that second trade. You might do it on a couple of charts and then you're done. But the key to it is the Viper clone, okay? Because if you trade these and use the Viper clone, I'll show you what that is. And we're going to talk about Object Trader quite a bit tonight. And I won't make this go over an hour. All right? So Object Trader is a NinjaTrader strategy, been developed literally over the past 8 years or so, okay? It's a very well-built, complex strategy, but easy to use once you figure out, just watch some videos and things like that, and you'll figure out how to use it. And I'll even tell you what type of trades we're going to take. Whether it's a bar close up, which we did this morning on that one trade that was first called, the power dot on that next trade that was called, and you can do all those type of things in Object Trader. Now, Object Trader being a strategy, it's been built by 2 very good developers. One of them's in our room all the time. His name's Pat. He's been building Object Trader for about the last 2 years or more. And before that, I had the guy with Logic that was building Object Trader. Very good programmers, very good quality product. NinjaTrader picked us, I think, quite a bit because of the fact that we have our own system and we teach it to traders. That way you don't have to just start out from scratch and start putting MACDs on your charts and CCIs and FBIs and ATFs and all that. You just use our scripts instead. And our scripts, when we send them out to a person or they log in to get the scripts, they get it to where they get the template that looks just like this. And what we do at Viper Trading, let's just pretend this wasn't 4:30 in the morning. This is a trade our people would salivate for because it stair-stepped to mid-band and it gave a mid-band trade, okay? But if you weren't up at 4:30 in the morning, you didn't get that trade. But guess what? You got that trade that I called there, got 10 ticks, and you got that trade that I called right there. And just beautiful trade setups, okay? Now, the way you do this is you simply use Object Trader. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into replay, but not just yet. I want to show you some things about Object Trader, and then I'll show you how to use it. Because keep in mind, the day is right here now, okay? So let's go to the strategy called Object Trader. And the latest that's out is 4.47. I've got 4.50 because Pat's been working on a few little niches here and there, that we're trying to make sure that it works flawlessly. We're always going to be updating and doing things like that because, frankly, there's so many variables when you're trading and everything. If somebody reports something to us, we'll fix it. Just like NinjaTrader. If you've ever seen when they do an update, they fix 50 or 60 things. Usually as a rule, if we fix an update, we're only fixing a couple of things, But then again, we don't have a platform like Ninja. We're riding on their coattails because our scripts are designed for NinjaTrader. Does OT update automatically or do you send an email? Well, Phil, on your question there, basically what you want to do is you want to go to our website and you'll always have the most latest scripts. Let that go ahead and load. I went backwards on it. Hopefully it will load. See if it'll load. Linda may have changed something on my email. We'll find out in just a second. If it doesn't load, I know for sure she changed something. Let me go back to here and log in. Bear with me a second. I'll log in. That's what I get for going backwards, isn't it? Bear with me a second. I try to answer every question, but there's sometimes just something doesn't gel right. There we go. All right. So basically, this is your module for your scripts right here. Any updates field will be right here in these scripts. So you just simply click the module, it opens it, and you'll notice when it opens it that the latest script is 4.47, and it'll say that. We're getting a lot of traffic right now, it looks like. So this, you know, with GoToWebinar and everything, it takes up a lot of memory on a computer. All right, see, your latest scripts were 5/1/2025. You click this, and it goes to where you download the actual scripts. I always keep the latest scripts that I've fully vetted on the website, so you'll be able to get them at any time. See, there's OT Viper Clone Advanced, dated 5/1/25, and it will show up on your chart as 4.47, okay? Let me go ahead and change my template here. All right, so let's put Object Trader on the chart. Object Trader is a NinjaTrader strategy, and you just simply right-click and go to Strategies. You have to make sure that your data is also running. You have to have data to run a strategy. So then you just simply go to Object Trader here, add it to the configured window, enable it, okay? Now, since we clone, we trade everything in SIM, okay? The reason for that is because we're going to clone actual accounts. So the way this works, you simply enable it and apply, okay? All right, now this is, if I simply hit a trade, it's going to trade in SIM only. But the beauty of Object Trader is that you can also clone. Okay, these are some actual accounts I'm going to show you here. This is Blue Sky. Okay, there's a Blue Sky account there, Blue Sky account there, and even a fully funded one there. Okay, these are still in evaluation stage because they're large accounts. They're $300,000 accounts. This one is actually funded here. Okay, see the difference in the letters on them. That's what tells you that. But anyway, if I want to trade, let's say, for instance, I just wanted to trade those, I can just click them. Okay, and it's telling me the multiplier is just simply 1. So if I click one contract, it'll fire on each of those accounts simultaneously. Okay. Cloning is the best thing that ever came about. You've heard of trade copiers. You know, Apex has got a trade copier. You know, your Replicano has a trade copier. There's others out there. But I think we built one of the best ones because our trade copier is simplistic. You know, if you start looking at like Replicano, to give an example, you have to remember what's your master account, what are your slave accounts, that's what they call them. And with us, you just start in SIM and then you clone whatever accounts you want to clone. What if I wanted to trade SIM on this chart and I wanted to go ahead and do multiplier on micros instead for 5 contracts instead of 1 full contract? This would be a half contract because it's micros. I just simply click micro, micro. And then by doing that, if I click 1 contract here, this will do 5 micros. So if I do it twice, it would do 10 micros, right? And that's the beauty of our system. We can do micros, we can do full contracts. We've got everything built into the strategy where you can actually set it up the way you want it. And it's going to be too complex and too, well, not so complex, but basically a little more to explain in an hour because you're going to really need to study Object Trader to trade it. But let's just turn it off for just a second. And if we go down here, you'll see that you can set your quantities of contracts and everything, your max quantity. The max quantity just simply means that if I set that at 4, it's not going to let me trade more than 4 contracts. That'll keep you out of trouble. Okay. We've also got things built into Object Trader, like, for instance, right down here, account limits. Let's say that you want only to make like $500 for a day. Then set this puppy for $500 right there, and set your max loss maybe for, I don't know, 400. And then you can even set it to close your positions if you want to. And if you hit 400, it'll close you out. If you hit 500 profit, it will close you out. These are all, it's not black box. You can do about anything you want with Object Trader. It's also got things built into it like the power meters. It's got, you know, background color controls, the whole 9 yards. But the most important thing in Object Trader is right down here. And this is your object types, okay? Because Object Trader can simply take a trade. If you want to just simply take a trade, buy market, sell market, it's real easy to do so, okay? Let me go ahead and close this out for just a second and redo it. That way it goes back to my default. Go ahead and get it down there and enable it. All right, now over here on the left, you notice that you've got a lot of things on the left, like region, region close, region tick, and that type of thing, okay? So what that's telling you is it's the type of trade setup that you'd be taking, okay? So for instance, if I wanted to box this in right here, there's no movement whatsoever on crude oil right now, okay? But if I wanted to box that in, I just click region, and it'll draw a region. I can simply size it the way I want it. And for instance, if I'm not cloned right now, if I wanted to take a long, if it touches the top of that box, you can just simply turn on long and it will do that. Okay, it's that easy to use. Now in the room, when I say box it in, you'll see me draw a box. So our people just draw the box the same way, and then they turn on long enabled if I'm calling a long, and they turn on short enabled if I'm calling a short. But we also have some other powerful tools in here. Bar close, this will simply take a trade if the bar closes up or down if you choose so. We also have mid-band trades, phantom trades, power dots. You remember the trades that were called in the room this morning called power dots? It'll take those type of trades, okay? So let me show you some of this, and I'll show you some of my favorite things to look for. So I'm going to go ahead and kill Object Trader for a moment. And I'm going to kill the connection, and we're going to go into playback mode. And I want to show you how powerful this little tool can be. So we're going to go to playback mode. All right, and you should be able to see it. It's loading right now, so we're waiting for that. Takes a moment. As soon as they load, this will be ready. All right, now let's say that you get in the room at 7:30 in the morning. Okay, today is 7:28, so you could start your little clock here like 7:27, and then set your historical here. We'll wait for it to load first. Bear with it a second. It's loading again. And I'll show ES too, John, because I called a good trade on ES this morning too. It popped up and pulled back perfectly on a break and kiss that was called. I truthfully basically trade CL and gold. And one of the reasons is because I'm so used to it and I like their movement, and I just do, okay? So basically what you can do on playback, of course, we can just go to the time. We'll set this for 7:28, which is today, and we'll set this for 7:30. Like that, and then of course AM. All right, now this will get us to where I can actually show you those trade setups that were called this morning. To give you an example, this morning my daughter did $400 with the 2 trade calls I made. She didn't have to load the boat or anything either. You know, it was that easy. So let me get this out of the way, and we'll put Object Trader on here. Right click. Now let's let it go ahead and load. For some reason, this thing does this. Playback can be kind of a pain. It reverted back because I didn't do it quick enough to 11 p.m. So let's go back. $7 a.m. and then go to 7:30, and hopefully it'll stay. If it doesn't, I'll just have to explain the trades instead and how to use Object Trader. It doesn't always cooperate. And let's go ahead and start it playing here real quick. All right, so let's get this out of the way. Now, basically what you do then is you simply start Object Trader and you put it on your chart. Let's see if we got playback going here. See if it's going to let me. Let's go ahead and restart Object Trader because that just started that data. And we'll put it in playback mode instead of sim. Bear with it a second. And then we'll enable it. All right, so let's say that you wanted to get a bar close to the upside. You just simply turn that on long enabled, okay? If that bar closes up, now this is a little later than I called it because I called it right here at that little bar up, but it's okay. All right, so if that bar closes up, that will fire a trade, a market order on a long enabled on a bar close, okay? That easy to do. I can also set it later on for like a power dot to give an example, okay? You can do that and long enabled. You can even set this on what we call MT, which means multiple object types. It'll fire both of those before, and it'll only fire up to 4 because I've got it set for 4. What if I just want to trade 2? I can just set my max at 2. Okay, so now we're waiting for simply a bar to close so we can get in a trade, and I'm going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit just to show you. Go about 4 times. All right, now this feature right here is called bar close. Notice that bar close down, so there's no trade, even though bar close is turned on. If bar close goes up, it will fire the trade. It's getting ready to. There it is. Okay, so then all you do is set your stop. Now this one's set at 15 ticks. We could set it different. What if I wanted one more on another bar close? That's that easy to do. I just turn on bar close again. All right, and then when you get, a little bit of profit on this trade, you can hit the button anytime you want to. Okay, and the key to it is to take coin on your trades. Okay, if it hits that area right there, that's pretty much, you should have gotten in down here, but we didn't really turn it on in time. So anyway, we're just trading it in playback. All right, predictor even tells you where it's trying to go, like right up here and also right here. All right, and once you get profitable on your trade, all you got to do, you can even hit the close button whenever you're ready. $140, $120 or something like that. If you want it, go for it, because we've got a close button right here. We can leave this trade on, or we can even really tighten our stop. Okay, our stop is 2 ticks now, and I can even set this on what's called exit on close. That way it only closes that trade out if it closes below the line. Okay, but let's say, for instance, that you just want $200 on this trade period. That's all you want. Then get ready to hit the close button, and that's your first trade. And that's the one I called. Okay, so again, the key to trading is cloning. For instance, if you were cloning, like right now, see, we've just got, well, it won't show blue sky now because it's in playback mode, but you saw the blue sky up there. There were 3 accounts there. I'm going to set that on exit at close. If we actually were to have like Apex up too, Apex is rhythmic, blue sky is trade of 8, so you can actually clone blue skies and Apexes at the same time. Okay, beautiful way to trade is this system right here. I use this particular little deal here every single day of my life. It's designed by us. It works. It's perfect. It just does great trades. However you want to trade is the way it trades. It's a discretionary trading system, but like I say, a lot of our people simply use it with bar close a lot of times, power dots, things like that. Okay, and again, like I said, once you're profitable on a trade, you don't have to stay in that trade any longer than you want. What if that hits $200, but what if it doesn't? Well, then you could get out of the trade if you want to, because we've got the ability to reverse a trade, sell contracts, whatever we want to do. Okay, so for instance, if that gets up to that line right there, I could be ready to close it, or I could simply put my target right there, either way. Okay, and that's how beautiful this little trading system is right here. Perfect little trading system. Now, in a case like this, by the way, when I called that trade this morning, we said to put your stop right there, because that's your swing right there. See it? Trust, retrace, that's your swing right there. So you got to give it a little bit of wiggle room. If you get in late, you got to use what we call lightning. I'll show you what I mean. Go ahead and draw it from here. So basically your lightning is thrust, retrace, and that's your swing right there. Now your swing's starting to be right there. Could you protect your profit a little tighter right there? And the answer is yes. But if you want to get more of a gusto trade, use the swing, because that's where you'll get the gusto type trade. If this was to trend, to give an example, okay? So basically, again, if you would have cloned this, let's take, for instance, you got 5 accounts, and this hits $100, you're up $500 for the day, that easily. And what we do when we're trading, my wife and I, and even my daughter, my son trades also. He hasn't traded in a while. He got a brand new home, so he's kind of taking a hiatus for a little bit. There's $200, by the way. Could you take $200 right there? Just hit the button. You're up $200. Who cares if it goes up? See what I mean? Now, what if you decided, you know what? I want to take another trade. And in the room this morning, I called this one out, and we simply looked for a power dot. Now, power dot, you turn it on like this, long enabled. And let's say that you go a couple of contracts, which is fine. You can go a couple of contracts, okay? Because if you don't go a couple of contracts, you won't get what's called a runner. And you need a runner to be able to ever get these really, really, really good trade setups, okay? And that's what we teach. Anybody have any questions on this so far? What I want to show tonight is basically some of my favorite settings, okay? Like, for instance, if you want a power dot type trade, okay? We don't have a power dot just yet. It's already printed one here. And keep in mind, you can turn this off until it does get further down, like on a good retrace. I like to look at fibs. And on a fib like this, I would expect this not to take out this swing here. See it? High, low, higher, high. So you don't want them to take that swing out, but you do want a beautiful mid-band type trade setup. Here's a 61% right there. Here's a 76.4, a little bit deeper than I like to go. But all you got to do is get ready for the trade and turn on the machine to get it. Okay. Now, once you've gotten out of a trade, don't chase it. Okay. Because if you chase a trade, you're going to end up, for instance, that first one we chased this morning for real worked perfectly. But I don't think I'd chase a second one. Wait for the trade to come to you. Dots just reflect the location. No, the dots are actually, I'll show you what they do. Let's speed this up just a little bit. I'll put it at 10 times normal speed. Now there's a power dot right there. We haven't got it turned on. And I just missed it. That's okay. We may get another one. See, this could easily get another power dot right there. When it closes that bar, it should get a power dot. And in this case, you'll get 2 contracts. And there's your power dot. Okay. See how that fired the trade automatically? Okay. Now, when my daughter was trading this morning, wow, that thing moved like crazy, didn't it? Y'all remember that this morning, how greatly that moved? Well, you notice it hit our target and you got $520. My daughter this morning simply traded this trade that I called and this trade that I called. She didn't get the rest of that monster, shooting around like that. No big deal. The difference in the color, Scott, the difference in the colors is simply your power dot. If it's a mid-band power dot on the long side, it will be the cyan color. If it's what we call a phantom power dot, it'll be more of a cyan color, but a darker cyan. So this is light, just normal cyan. And then you've got darker cyan. And if you remember right, I also called another trade on this morning, and we said to use power dot again. Okay. Now keep in mind when you're using power dots, they're going to actually only draw when they hit a certain criteria. See, like there's your power dot right there. Beautiful trade setup. See what I mean? That trade was called in the room live also. So let me ask you a quick question. If you got up this nicely, but you did it on 5 accounts, let's see if we can get 1,000 just for the fun of it. See if it got 1,000. There you go. Got you $1,000. All right. So if you actually got this $1,000 right here, but you cloned it, that's the key to trading right there. Now, do you have to get 1,000 if you got 5 accounts? No. But if you do, then you're getting some really good money coming into your account. But again, the key to trading, in my personal opinion anyway, is throw away those live accounts. Keep them obviously if you want to, but trade like your Apexes, your Take Profit Trader, your Tradeify, your Blue Sky, that type of thing. And by doing that, you're cloning. So for instance, if you had cloned this with 5 accounts, you're up $5,000 for the day. That's huge. And that makes the difference in the big payouts. Let me just show you something on our website just real quick. All right. Scroll down here. I want to show you some things right down here. This is the power of cloning right here. See these PAs with Apex, to give an example? $300, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 accounts. That's $1,500 in a day. Okay, that was my wife's, by the way. All right, here was mine at the time. This is when we had 7 accounts and we turned it into $250,000. That's 2 of my Apex accounts. And at that time, that's all I had. I had 2 PAs because I had them up there quite a bit. Notice that was up $47,000 and that was up 20. But look at the cloning. Isn't that beautiful? So that particular day between my wife and I, we actually made 5 times 300 plus 2 times 950, 250. That's the power of cloning. And Object Trader has that ability built into it. And keep in mind, if you're not a good trader yet, then don't buy a bunch of accounts. But when you get to where you're a good trader and you can see those trades in real time and call them out in real time, then you get these kind of payouts. They're huge. Here's where you get your approvals from Apex and everything, and then they pay you. And we also show on our website also even these certificates that shows that we actually got paid and some deposits and everything. Okay. So again, the beauty of trading is cloning. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful way to trade, is to clone, because you take our scripts, you utilize Object Trader, and you make what I consider to be really good money, because all you got to do when you're trading is figure out some trade setups and take them. Now, let me show you some other setups that were called in the room. Okay, bear with me a second. I'm going to go ahead and pause this for right now, and I'll bring over a gold chart. By the way, when that says 37,000 right there, all that is we're in playback mode, so I'm going to do away with that part of the template. We'll remove chart lag and also bid and ask. All right, so let's go back to where it's fair, where we trade at 8 a.m. Anybody remember this? 7:30. Anybody remember this right here in the room this morning? This is when I opened the room, 7:30, right here. We nailed that trade. That's called a mid-band trade. Look at that power dot fire right there. If you traded that trade this morning with 2 contracts, that was a good $600 trade. There's another one right there. How did we get it? We get it at mid-band when they roll over and when these power dots fire. So for instance, on this trade right here even, you were pretty much firing it right there, okay? See that bar right there? That power dot prints on that bar right there. Could I show a good stealth trade, Dave? There are stealth trades all over too. Now keep in mind that stealth is going to be a little bit later than power dot. See, like here's a stealth trade right here. It's a beautiful stealth trade. It would fire on that bar right there. This is a beautiful stealth trade right here, fired on that bar. It's a good 10 ticks. Here's a beautiful one before we open the room. Stealth trade right here, and actually even here would have fired on that bar. So that's a monster trade. And here's another one right here that fires on that bar. So stealth can be, really good at seeing trend changes because it is a moving average, but it's a specially designed moving average that gets gaps in it. And we can tell when they change really abruptly with the angle. So it gives you a really good indicator. Okay, but keep in mind that if you took this trade right here that was called live in the room and took this trade that was called live in the room, could you be done for the day? Cloning? Yes, you could. Because you don't have to just keep trading all day long. If you trade all day long, I'll promise you, you're one of those traders that's constantly basically getting too many trades under your belt, so to speak. And I don't believe in that because you'll stack up more commissions, which a lot of people do, and that's fine if they want to do it, but there's no reason for it. All right, now let me show you something here too that's a really good trick that a lot of our people use. You've got a low here and a low here, so what we call the identified swing is right here. That's our line in sand long short. And we've also got another line in sand long short right here. But keep in mind that you don't have to just take a chance of a breakout, okay? Because watch my mid-band. See, when you go from an extreme of a mid-band like this magenta-colored short mid-band, what happens when they change trends? There's another trade, by the way, it was called also. But what happens when they change to this? This trade was also called in the room this morning, and our traders look for this trade. This is actually, notice how this mid-band is stair-stepping down, stair-stepping down. You heard one of our guys in the room say, well, I'm going to wait on, the mid-band to change. So what did the mid-band do? It changed to green. We got the mid-band trade. How did we get the trade? We got it on that bar. See the power dot right there? Yeah, that's the thing too. Andrew says it seems that trader fatigue sets in when one trades too long. Well, it's kind of like this. I grew up working when I was 14 years old in an A&W drive-in, if you've ever heard of those. All right. You work your tail off, you're going to school and everything. Yeah, it's fatigue sets in. What if you were self-employed? I was self-employed for 25 years, owning those appliance stores and everything. And gosh, yeah, you get tired because I was working sometimes 70 hours a week. Nowadays, I trade literally 2 hours a day. That's it. Now if I'm with somebody helping them and I see the best trade setup, I'm no fool either. I will actually go ahead and take a trade. I took one before the webinar started because I saw a great trade on NQ after the market opened tonight. And I did it with an Apex account. What I'm doing right now is somebody wasn't seeing the time on the chart. Okay, let me show you that NQ trade. If you were watching this at the open, oh, we're still in playback. I can't show it. So let's go back to gold just real quick. And I want to show you again where you can take those great trade setups, okay? So there's your 630 right there. And keep in mind that as these things go, I'm going to go to max on this and I'm going to show you how you can see these trades on your charts. We're in max mode right now. Hopefully it'll go. Maybe already maxed out. I may have to just go to connection instead. It looks like I might. Let's just do that and I'll show you some other trade setups. We'll disconnect. We'll go back to blue sky and give it a moment to load. All right. Still loading. There we go. All right, but let me show you something. Even since I started this webinar or close to it, look at some trade setups. short, phantom trade, phantom trade, phantom trade. Those are called phantom shorts. Okay, what will it take for gold to actually head up? And we would be ready for it because we draw on our charts. We have features built in Object Trader that we can actually be ready to take the trade when it breaks. I'll show you another one of my favorite features on Object Trader. Always leave this in sim, and then you clone your trade. You know, because keep in mind that I went back to blue sky, so we've got blue sky up here on the chart, right there. And so if I want to clone that, I just simply say, okay, I want to clone those accounts. And if I hit buy or sell, it will fire on those two accounts because those are cloned. But what if I said, you know what, this is sideways. This has been sideways since 5 o'clock. It's now 6:45, so that's pretty sideways, okay? So what I would be looking for would be a stair-stepping mid-band to get in another trade. Oh, you can, any market, Ralph, you can absolutely trade it. Let me show you where I called on ES this morning. And keep in mind that I've been doing this a long time on my own charts and everything, so I'm able to call those pretty good. Okay, here's ES to give an example. You want to see how it set up? 7:30. That's when I open the room, right here, just right at 7:30. Let's get it to it. Right there. Okay, that's 7:30 right there. What type of a trade will we be looking for since I've been teaching this? Stair-stepping your beautiful mid-band. It's a little sideways, but see, it's still stair-stepping down. See it? Each time it drops a little bit more, drops a little bit more. So you're still looking for a, quote, short trade. Okay, so we would turn on power dots. We know already where our stop's going to be because we use lightning to do it. Let me show you where it's at. See how that's got a low, a high, a lower low, lower high, lower low? Okay, so this is basically where they can't go above and keep you on a short. Now, when we get in a trade, we're not going to put our stop that high, but let me show you what I'm talking about. This goes up and does what we call a mid-band trade, okay? This is your entry right here on that bar closed down, but the power dot will print shortly thereafter right there. Okay, notice that the power dot printed on that bar right there. All right, so you're in the trade right here. Okay, your target is simply all the way down at the bottom or lower, obviously, but you got to have a target. Now, looking to the left to trade the right, your stop would be way up here. I don't like that because that swings a little higher than I like. So I would simply watch this and see if it would stair step down. Now, as far as that stair step down there so far, you could be done with that trade. I mean, that's a beautiful trade. Where would your stop be now? Right there, just right there at that little swing that it's trying to make. Notice that if you were trading this and you put your stop right there with the close of a bar, let's see what it does. See there? Now where do you put your stop? Well, since you don't have really a zigzag, how about line 2? Line 2 is right there. And if it takes it, it takes it. You're out. That's how easy that is. Okay? And you don't just dilly-dally around and say, well, I got a great trade, but now I'm giving some of it back. Well, what if it keeps going down and you decide to go ahead and get back in it? We got power dots for that. Okay? This little trade right here, if you got stopped out, then go back in with a power dot. A lot of our traders do that. Okay? So when you trade our system, though, you'll notice that your colors will always be according to what's actually happening on your chart. Now, you also do have what we call line in the sand long short. Now, what line in the sand long short is you're looking for a, quote, trend change. But until you get it, you're not taking trades the opposite direction. All right, so let's take the same thing into effect right here. All right, let's watch it. It's coming up to a mid-band again. What do you think? Anybody? I think I'd probably take that trade on a power dot. You want to see if we can get it? You already know where your stop is, right there. See the swing? So let's see if we got it. We got it. And there's your perfect trade. Right down to the low. That's what you wanted. You wanted right down to that low. Okay, now at double bottom, what do you do? Well, it's still a short background. It's still a red background. It's not even sideways. So you're looking for either a mid-band trade or a what we call a phantom trade. Stair stepping up a little bit so far. Now tag the bottom, you're good. All right. Now, where's your line in the sand, what we call the line in the sand long short on this particular chart right here? It would be right here. But what you've got to do is you've got to get it to where it breaks, kisses, and heads up. Let's see if it did that later. There's a little break, little kiss, not much. That was a phantom's all that was. See, so you never got long on that trade. Okay? See how that phantom power dot prints right there? This is called a phantom power dot. This is a mid-band power dot, short. And notice that you never change trends. So what are you looking for when you're trading like this? You're looking for shorts. If it changes directions, you're looking for the other way again. But keep in mind, as long as it's looking short, just stay short. And also keep in mind that when you get these little trades like this that are actually called, this trade was called in the room this morning. Okay, that was a little short trade. I don't even trade ES, but I caught that trade to call for you, just didn't trade it. Okay, but Object Trader, the way you would trade that, you'd simply say, okay, Object Trader, you turn it on, you enable it, you leave it in SIM, and then you set your clones, okay? So let's say, for instance, that this was the time of the morning and I called this trade set up right here, and it rolls over. You have power dot turned on, you have predictor turned on, predictor above, and you have midband turned on, which is your midband type trade setup. And if one of those three is met, it will fire the trade. In this particular case, if you set it on MT, short, and had it set for 3, since you have 3 object types picked, it would fire the midband trade here, the predictor trade here, and the power dot trade right there. So you'd be in 3 contracts. So you got this trade, you got the predictor trade, and you got the power dot trade. Your stop was already right there because you knew where your swing was. And then when it does roll over, like so, then you tighten your stop. You know, we like to use line 2 a lot. If it gets line 2, then get out of the trade. Look at that beautiful thing, okay? And that's all you got to do. If you get that one trade right there and you cloned those accounts right there, that trade right there with 3 contracts down to that low would be what? You're basically averaged about through there, I'd say. But let's just say you didn't get averaged there. You got averaged here on that power dot. You got in at 64.3850. You picked up all the way down to the swing is good enough. So just right there is 38.50 to 33 1/4, right? So what is that? 5 1/4 points. That's 21 ticks. Well, 21 ticks times ES is 1250 a tick times 3 contracts. You do the math. You just did great. See what I mean? And once you do that, then don't play with this stupid thing for a while. You know, realize that you want to just get some nice trades under your belt and you're done. You know, because if you got that trade, what about like some of our traders in our room watch for YM? All right, let's look at YM just real quick. And let's go back to the room. And I'll show you something here. Because we got a lot of traders that look for these trade setups. And I'm only going to do the room time because it's not fair. Because the room is open 7:30 to 10 o'clock. And I'm going to just simply do the room setup. Bear with it a second. This is a lot of bars on a, here we go, 7:30-ish, okay? You basically had your first trade set up. When I opened the room, this is what it looked like. So you had a low, you had a high, you had a higher low, you had a higher high. So you're simply looking for a higher low if you're a gutsy trader to go long when it takes a swing out right across here. So you could take that trade. That's a trade I teach also, okay? And power dots, by the way, will fire even in this, because this is actually, even though it's a short, you're still starting to change trend. We teach this in a lot of webinars. This thrust, this retrace, and this thrust is a higher high. All right, now they may fake you a little bit and say they think they're going down, but if you get any kind of a higher low than down here, you're kind of looking for a trend change. Okay, so a lot of our traders would have taken that. You got a nice little trade there. Okay, that's your first trade setup. And that could be a one and done right there as far as that goes. You know, the thing is, people just don't realize, and I think this is why a lot of people lose money trading, is because they trade so much that they end up getting on the wrong side of the trade instead of doing a great job in their trading. And that's key to it totally, is try to do a great job in your trading, get a couple of trades under your belt, and you're done. Okay? And if you can do that, then guess what? You'll be better than most traders that are out there in this market today, because most traders end up losing money trading. But with our setups and everything, you could do perfect. For instance, this actually broke what I call line in the sand long shorts across here. Is that a short? Well, I don't know for sure, but let's just, for the fun of it, just pretend. And this is what we call a band trade, and we'll put a stop above it. Let's see if it would have worked for us. It's looking pretty good. See there's 10 ticks to the downside by simply boxing in. We've got a feature called Band Trader on Object Trader. I'll show it to you. Band Trader, what it does is it simply utilizes the 8 bands, and you can tell it what you want to do. Okay, so basically, now we have to go over to the right side of the chart to do this now because it's a real-time type thing. See, there's a mid-band trade right there, just set up while we were talking here. But your Band Trader starts out at band 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and so on, all the way up to 8. Okay, so you can actually take a trade based on a band trade setup by just simply using this region and turning on your long or short. So we've got a lot of features built in Object Trader. You've also got Fibonacci's. You know, for instance, this little thrust right here, that's a 50% retracement. What if we said, you know what, if you come down to 61.8, I might want to fire you. You know, if that touches 61.8, then this would automatically fire a contract. What if you said, you know what, this could still be a, you know, they kind of double topped here, so this could actually go lower. Well, then guess what? We do what we call power dots and stair stepping. Can you do a trend line trade? Somebody just asked with your I haven't seen your name before, so you haven't seen our trend line trader. So trend line, we'll turn the bands off. We'll turn the fib off. And we do have one called trend line trader. Trend line trader starts out as a line. You just simply angle it the way you want it, and that little dash right there is where the trade would be fired. So if you wanted to take that long, you'd simply set that like that. It would fire, it's in sim only, and it would fire as it touches that line right there. What if you said, well, that could fake me there. You could even set an offset on it. What if you wanted to go 3 ticks above that? Trendline trader. What if you said, you know what, this could actually head down. We've got another one called wedge trader. And wedge is, instead of a trend line, is 2 lines, and you can draw triangles with it. So we've got our first part of our triangle. Let's go ahead and bring it down here. And what if they decided to break that? That's telling you that if they break this, you're going short, and if they break that, you're going long. So you just simply set it both ways, if you want to. I mean, keep in mind, I'm not telling you a trade setup. I'm telling you how to use my tools. Okay? So if that does happen to, see there, it just fired along. Now keep in mind, this is just sim. All right? And I could say, you know what? I don't like that. I could just simply put a tight stop on it. What if that bar closes down and I want to get out of the trade? I don't even have to have a stop. If that bar closes down, it'll get me out of the trade by simply turning on bar close. Like I say, we got some cool features. And Object Trader will make a world of difference in your trading every single day. Okay, I was going to show you that YM trade that I took before the webinar started. Right through here, see these mid-band trade setups right there? I just simply did that little trade right there as I was setting up to get my 6 o'clock webinar, and grabbed that trade and put my target right there at that top, like so, and it nailed it. And that was like a $300-some-odd trade. You can get these all the time. What's YM doing right now? It's doing what we call a phantom trade, but you have a high here, a low here, a little lower high, but not much. So this phantom is legit. But what if they break this area right here? Will they head down? Well, our mid-band will change accordingly if they do. Let's watch it for just a second. Oh, we're actually almost out of time, aren't we? We're at 7 o'clock. See, that's a phantom so far, except that it did change the mid-band. But we've got a feature on here that you can use power dot again. You can do a box. You can wait for it to break and kiss. You can do anything you want. I've got break and kiss built into Object Trader too. But Ralph, on your question from earlier, you can trade any market with this. You don't even have to use our scripts, but you can use Object Trader. You know, just don't use some of the faster stuff like the power dots and things. You can box in a day trade if you wanted to. You know, we've got it to where you can just set up a total region on it if you want. Breakout trade, break and touch, you know, like what we call break and kiss. You can do those. Y'all are all seeing my cursor too, right? It's a big cursor. All right. So that's about all I can say in an hour, but I would tell you this. If you want to learn more about our trade setups and everything, if you're new, and if you're not new, obviously just, you remember you've got all the ways to get into the modules and everything. Real quick, I'll just show you if this will load again. Bear with it a second. May have to back out and go back in again, possibly. I never have this if I'm not on GoToWebinar too, because GoToWebinar with sharing screens and everything, even on a mega computer like I've got, it definitely still sucks up the memory. So let me just go out of it and I'll go back into it instead. Bear with it a second. I'm going to log in. May have to get with the guy that does this part of our web design and everything to see if we're on a fast enough server. We might have to step it up again. I stepped up on GoDaddy to one of the higher servers that they offer, but there's probably higher than that if you want to spend the money, and I don't mind spending the money. Here we go. All right, so basically what you want to do is, if you're here for the week and everything, watch our Let's Begin. That's 3 videos that'll change your trading. I mean, I've got traders that are trading mid-bands, phantoms, and line in the sand trades for a living. And all you got to do is click that little module right there, and it'll show it. Your Viper Trade Manual right here. You know, you can download it and keep it if you want, because it's a downloadable little deal. Weekly links to get in the room tomorrow morning, and of course, this webinar will be posted tomorrow morning after the room closes, so you'll be able to see it if you missed part of it tonight, or you know, whatever. But I hope this helped everybody a little bit, because I've tried with Viper Trading Systems to build you the best system that you could possibly have. I'll show you something here real quick too. Notice I drew a line on that chart right there. You want to see where Object Trader would have fired that trade? We'll just turn on power dots, but turn the trend part off. And could you have taken that trade right there and there? That's a power dot. So that's another great trade. And remember, I said it wasn't changing trends until it took this out. That's where you're, you know, at 6 o'clock, that's where they made a low. So guess what? If it was going to head down, it breaks, kisses, and rolls. It's not breaking down. You got your great long trade. Okay? And our trader will take that just by simply turning on power dot. But utilize it with any market you want. I mean, you know, we got people that trade 6A, 6B, you name it. And you can do that. Micros, you can do anything you want with it. You know, futures, if you want to trade, let's see. Well, cryptocurrency, somebody asked about, yeah. Bitcoin, yeah, you can trade Bitcoin too. That would be under futures. You'd have to type in BTC. All right. Great little trade setup. They'll just constantly set them up for you. That trade that I got a little while ago for 300, you could have just utilized Object Trader and gotten another 300 right there, just simply by being ready for that bounce off that low. Okay, and all you have to do is change the little object types on the side to what you want it to do. Okay, so we're going to open the room tomorrow again at 7:30-ish. I try to get in there. I don't like to get in there right at the news, because I don't want people taking a trade on the news, because there are some of these vendors that won't let you take trades at the news. But we try to get the room open at right at 7:30-ish, like 7:32, 7:33, 7:34. And I kind of judge it by looking at the charts. Okay, so we'll see you in the morning. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed this webinar. And we're going to try to be, you know, a great leader in teaching people to utilize some great scripts and teach you how to trade this system. Because if you trade every single day and just clone your trades, it makes a world of difference. You know, my daughter right now, I made her buy the bigger contracts from Apex because I want her to learn more rather than just getting funded and then losing an account. So she's trading $250,000 accounts is what she's trading. And, you know, those you have to get up to 15,000. Well, at $200 a day, it takes you a long time to get there. But I want her to learn this so that when she clones, when those are PAs like my sons are and mine are and Linda's are, then she'll know how to make that money and keep it. Because if you just go jumping in and throwing on 10 or 15 contracts, you're going to lose your tail. You know, you want to take every trade based on what's happening on those charts. And that way you'll be on the right side of it. Okay? All right, we'll see everybody in the morning. Thanks for coming to my webinar, and we'll do it in the morning for real. And keep in mind that when I do the disclaimer and everything, I mainly look at gold and oil right off the bat because those are my 2 favorites. But if ES does set up something, I will call it too. All right, thanks. Good night.